Your binge did not happen the moment you had something sweet. Your binge actually started the moment you were craving a cookie, but you told yourself you probably should have some blueberries and some almonds and some protein bars, something healthier. And after eating all that food, no matter how much you enjoy blueberries, protein bars, and almonds, that could be good. You might enjoy those foods. It's not what you were actually craving. And so you're not actually satisfied. You might be full, but you're not actually satisfied. And your brain literally cannot stop thinking about the cookies that you're still craving, because your craving doesn't go away by eating a substitute. Your craving for a cookie will not go away by eating blueberries. Your craving for a cookie will not go away when you're trying to eat something healthier because you feel like that is the better option. And so after eating all this food, again, you're not satisfied. So your body is longing for that satisfaction factor. And that's when you end up going balls to the wall. You end up going crazy and binging on all the cookies. Because also, feeling full is a trigger to overeat. Have you ever experienced that uncomfortable feeling in your body where you're so full and you're like, I know I'm full. Why do I keep on eating? It's because it's a trigger to overeat. When you are already so full, so bloated, so uncomfortable, you eat more because you know that eating gives you those feel-good feelings in your body. You know that eating gives you relief, pleasure, comfort, and you're trying so badly to feel better. You literally eat more to try to feel better, even though you know eating more will not make you feel less bloated. Eating more will not make you less full. It's only going to make you more bloated and more uncomfortable. But for a moment, it's like, oh, I just need to feel better. I hate this feeling. I'm so uncomfortable. Let me just eat to escape these uncomfortable emotions and sensations and feelings that I'm experiencing right now. And this is why it is so important to eat what you're craving. Teresa said, had the urge to binge and didn't give in. Best feeling the next day. Heck freaking yes, it is. Oh, it's the greatest feeling in the world. It is so freaking hard to say no to those strong ass binge freaking urges. But you are a badass. We're celebrating Teresa. It is so challenging, but it is the greatest feeling the next day. Feeling so much more like energized and comfortable than like bloated and so full from how much you've eaten last night. So celebrating you. But this is why it's so important to eat what you're craving, because eating what you're craving will almost always prevent you from binging on what you really want later on. There has never been a time where I have, been like, I really want a cookie, and then I try to have yogurt and I try to have other foods that actually satisfied that craving. I would always end up having the cookie anyways. But it wasn't just the cookie. It was the cookie, and it was the yogurt, and it was the protein bar, and it was the dried mangoes, and it was the fruit, and it was the almonds, all the things that I was trying to eat to be healthier, when really I was making myself even more unhealthy because I was just overeating and binging like crazy. And that is such a mindset shift, because when you think about somebody, how long are you binge free? I had been binge free for over 6 years. I was struggling for a decade, 10 years. And I've been binge free for almost 6 years. It's the greatest feeling in the world. But I know it can feel so scary to, eat what you're craving, because it feels wrong. It feels so backwards. We have always been told, like, have a healthier alternative. Like, personal trainers and influencers might tell you, like, don't eat what you're craving. But for people who struggle with binge eating, you cannot dismiss your cravings. Dismissing your cravings is literally the thing that is causing you to spiral into a binge, because your cravings don't just disappear. Your cravings build, they get stronger, they intensify. I like to think about it, I always use the example of like a mosquito bite. If you've ever had a mosquito bite on your arm and you're like trying to ignore it, you can try to ignore it all you want, but it's there. It's there, and you scratch it and it becomes even itchier, right? It becomes even itchier, and now you're like, I can't ignore it. So when you are craving a cookie, but you have the blueberries and you have the protein bar, that is as if you're like scratching the mosquito bite, and it's just becoming more intense, more intense, more intense, to the point where you don't have a choice but to freaking give in and just end up having the entire row of cookies. And it would have been so much easier if you just had the cookie in the first place. It feels wrong. It feels so backwards, but there is no better feeling in the world than not binging. Again, somebody who is a normal eater, someone who eats like a normal person, why could they have cookies and not gain a bajillion pounds? Why can they eat a few cookies and just move on with their day? It's because the moment like they're like, oh, you know what, a cookie sounds good, they just have a cookie. But when you are thinking to yourself, I really want a cookie, but I shouldn't. Okay, no, I shouldn't. Okay, just eat some blueberries. Okay, just have some protein bar. Okay, just have some yogurt. Okay, just have this. It doesn't taste the best. It's not what you want. So you end up eating 20 cookies. And you think that there's something wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. You are not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. The person who is a normal eater, they just eat the cookie. They're not thinking, oh my gosh, I shouldn't be doing this. This is wrong. This is bad. And this is why you got to rewire your mindset and change your association with that cookie. You're not bad or wrong for eating a cookie. You're safe to enjoy the cookie. And in fact, if you just allow yourself to have the cookie, you're going to prevent yourself from binging on 10 of them later on at night. And that's way healthier, right? Eating 1 or 2 cookies is obviously way healthier than thinking about the cookies all day and then ending up eating all the cookies. So I know it is, again, it's so wrong. It feels so backwards. It feels like, oh my gosh, like I cannot dare allow myself to have a cookie during the day. I was talking to a client on a coaching call this week, and she used to always binge in the evening. Like that was her time because she has kids and she's so needed during the day. And I'm sure you guys can relate to that. She was always so needed during the day. And finally, at the end of the day, when she would have time for herself, she would just eat. And she never thought that she would be able to like allow herself to like eat something sweet during the day. That felt like a big no, like, no, we don't do that. And because she has been allowing herself to have something sweet if she wants it. This is not a free-for-all. If she's actually craving something sweet, she would allow herself to have it. And as the result, she no longer binges in the evening. It's been over, I believe, almost 9 months now that she hasn't binged. And the evenings are no longer a struggle for her. She could actually relax. She watches TV sometimes with her husband. She actually relaxes. She goes to bed early. She wakes up the next morning to be present for her children, to have energy, to crush the day and all the things she has to get done. So it is so worth leaning into the fear, because no longer binging is the greatest feeling in the world. It is way worth leaning into the fear. So yeah, binging can happen, pretty much any time of the day. And again, this is why it is so important to eat what you're craving. But again, it doesn't matter. So let's say like this is not just about like have it during the day. It could even be something as like, let's say 10 a.m. and you're like, I really want some banana bread. Like it's a craving because it's specific, and you're like, oh, but like you probably shouldn't, like just wait until lunch. Like you should probably just eat lunch because like, come on, like what are you doing at 10 a.m.? You can't have banana bread. And your mind will convince you to push it off, right? So again, if you actually eat what you're craving, you can prevent your next binge. It doesn't matter when your binges are. My binges, I could binge at like 8 in the morning. I could binge at like 10 o'clock at night on a Saturday, on a Sunday, on a Tuesday. Like it didn't matter. My binges were also so unpredictable. But the more you eat what you're craving, the less urges you're going to have. I want to find healthy alternatives to my craving because I always crave ultra processed foods. So I'm going to share something with you. And I was also talking to this with some of my clients. So I love eating healthy. I don't love processed foods. Now I am 6 years binge free, over 6 years binge free, and I don't eat a lot of processed foods. However, when I was on my healing journey back in 2019 and I was trying to repair my relationship with food, I needed to allow myself to, yes, I'm going to get to it, Sandy, in just a second. I needed to allow myself to eat those quote unquote processed foods because I didn't have a good relationship with them. They were like on a pedestal. They were scary. They were bad. They were like these monsters. And so if I wanted, let's say like dried mangoes, yeah, I didn't love the fact that it was processed or, whatever it was, like protein bars or crackers or whatever, like processed foods, even like sweet potato fries. But because I shifted my brain around those foods and I healed my relationship with those foods, now I cannot eat processed foods if I didn't want to, and I don't feel restricted. But in the past, because I didn't make peace with those foods, if I wanted, let's say, something processed and I said no to it, I'd end up binging. So this is, again, like the best part about healing your relationship with food is you actually become healthier. So there's that. Okay, I'm going to scroll back. Hi, Joanne. Okay, Sandy, I remember us chatting in the DMs. I'm so happy you're here. Okay, let's see. Scroll back to your. I'm 5'1", 262 pounds, diagnosed with diabetes. Now pre-diabetes on metformin. I gained 60 pounds in 4 to 5 months due to eating constantly. Is eating every 4 hours bad for weight loss? I PCOS. I think of food constantly. So I do not recommend telling yourself when you're supposed to eat. Like, I use the analogy of going to the bathroom. We don't say to ourselves every 4 hours, make sure you go pee. Right? Like, you don't say that to yourself. It's like when you feel the desire to go to the bathroom, you just go to the bathroom. And anytime you put rules of like, you have to eat every 4 hours or you have to eat every 2 hours, you're actually not eating like a normal person. You're eating like so rigid, And so when it comes, even if you want to release weight, the best way to actually lose weight is to heal your relationship with food, because it is hard to lose weight when you're constantly overeating. And the constant food thoughts are happening because of all these rules. So even something as simple as like, you have to eat every 4 hours, you're probably looking at your clock, like, is it time to eat yet? And if it's been, 2 hours and you're hungry, you're probably like, but I shouldn't eat yet. And again, all of that is creating the food noise inside of your mind, right? And so it is so important to not have those rigid rules, because again, like if you're already thinking about food and then you add all these other, things of when to eat, can't eat after 7 o'clock, if you just ate lunch at 12 o'clock, well, you can't have a snack until 2 o'clock. All of that is just creating literally more food noise inside of your mind, and you don't need that. You don't need that. So I would not recommend telling yourself, when you should be eating. If there's any other questions, feel free to drop them inside of the chat box. I'm happy to answer a few more. Joanne says, hi, Joanne. I seem to binge if I'm stressed, which I think is more emotional eating, but I do crave chocolate. So what I always like to say is stress isn't the reason why you're turning to food, because think about it, like some people are stressed and they don't eat. And some people are stressed and they might go to a yoga class. So stress isn't the thing that's actually causing you to binge. If you're having these urges, that's why you're binge. But stress can be a trigger. So this is why we do have to regulate our nervous systems. Breath work is a really powerful way to move through our emotions. A lot of my clients love, like, even legs up the wall. If you were to lay it down on your back and put your legs up the wall, it's a really good nervous system regulation technique and tool. But I also think too, it's how can we reduce stress in our life? We're never going to be able to remove stress. Like there's always going to be things that we're stressed about, but it's like, do you need to put some boundaries into place, even at work? Do you need to outsource some tasks? Do you need to let yourself rest without guilt? Do we need to put less on our to-do list, right? Like all of these things, it's like, what can we do to better manage the stress? We can't eliminate it, but for a lot of people, a lot of the times people feel stressed. And again, I don't know your situation, but a lot of the times people feel stressed because, again, it's like, I have so many things to do and I didn't get everything done on my to-do list, and I don't want to just sit down on the couch because I feel so guilty about that. So I have to go do the laundry. I got to go do the dishes, and I got to go send out this email. I got to respond to that text message, and everything feels like an emergency. And it's so hard to just let ourselves just be. We're not taught how to just be. We're taught how to do more. Come on, be productive, hustle, go. We need to learn to relax our nervous system and to take time to fill up our own cup, not just our stomach. We need to actually fill up our own cup. And so, Joanne, you mentioned, like, I do crave chocolate. And so for you, it might be more emotional eating if your needs aren't getting met. Like if you're actually wanting to rest and you're not letting yourself rest, well, you're not actually meeting your needs. But the moment that, let's say, you are craving chocolate, allow yourself to eat the chocolate, because that will prevent you from feeling impulsive later on. I have eating problems. Like I feel guilty when I eat things and I get pushed to eat more. Yeah. And again, this is like, not like there's so many different puzzle pieces to this, right? It's like, there's so many different things that we have to focus on. Again, releasing the guilt. And again, when you're feeling guilty, you often eat more because it's like, I already messed up. I feel bad. I'm feeling so mad at myself. And again, all those emotions are so uncomfortable. You literally go and eat more to try to get rid of those uncomfortable sensations in your body. And this is why I always talk about rewiring your brain to stop seeing chocolate or any food as like bad or off limits, because the moment you're seeing food as like, I shouldn't be eating that, you can't eat that if you want to lose weight, you're bad for eating that, you're going to feel all these emotions and you're literally going to start eating more, promising yourself that tomorrow is going to be better. So being able to shift your relationship with these foods and release some of that guilt is so important. And, I always say, what's worse? like eating some chocolate, right? Eating some chocolate and then being able to move on with your day. Or it's like spending so much time like fearing the chocolate and I shouldn't be eating and then thinking about it all day and then like eating way too much chocolate. That is so much worse, right? So when you really think about it, it's like having the chocolate isn't the problem. It's the meaning that we're placing on that chocolate. Yeah. Yeah, and body image absolutely plays a massive, massive, massive role in your relationship with food. And actually, for the most part, people start dieting in the first place because of their body image. For me, I was called fat in grade 8. And in grade 8, that's truly when my dieting history began. I was terrified of having somebody call me fat again. So I didn't eat. I barely ate. I restricted myself. I was starving myself like all day. And it is such a toxic cycle, but you can absolutely break free from these cycles. And if you guys aren't yet listening to the podcast, obviously this is a really good place to start. The Ditch Decade Diets podcast is phenomenal. It's a great resource. Start there. You're going to start learning the process of how to actually rewire your brain out of these habitual cycles. And I also do have something coming up soon. That's going to help so many of you guys conquer binge eating. So be sure you're also like following me on Instagram, watching my stories. There's going to be an opportunity to get onto my email list for something coming up. So yes, I'm really excited, and I can't say too much, but something is coming. Something is coming. Something is coming. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for being here. I am so happy to connect with you guys and answer some of your guys' questions. Go ahead, listen to the podcast for more of a deeper dive. There's literally over 800 episodes. So start there, start learning a lot of the foundational tools to improve your relationship with food, and then stay tuned because something is coming that's going to help so many more people be able to conquer binge and emotional overeating. So thank you guys so much. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and we'll see you guys